Hi friends, it is time to start my tomato plants. It is March 9th and I have been waiting long enough to start my tomato plants. This year I have chosen 8 varieties that I'm going to be growing. Every year I get to decide which tomatoes I want to grow. And you want to grow tomatoes that you can't find at the stores. So having that said, let me tell you about the 8 varieties that I have chosen to grow this year. I think tomatoes are the gateway vegetable drug. Everybody wants to grow tomatoes in the garden, and they are so sweet and delicious, and I think they're the easiest vegetable or fruit that you can grow in the garden. There are some things that I hate doing in the garden, and one of them is picking and harvesting cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes are prolific, but you have to keep on top of them and you keep harvesting them, and they are a lot of work. So I like growing varieties that are huge, and if I am growing a cherry tomato, it has to be very tasty. So this year I have chosen 3 varieties of cherry tomatoes that I'm going to grow because they are the tastiest that I've ever had. This year I'm going to be regrowing the Sweet 100 tomatoes. I have been saving this seed for about 2 years now, and I'm going to be using this, the last of the seeds of the packet. So wish me luck. I hope they sprout. I also already told you that I'm going to be growing the Sun Gold tomatoes. Sun Gold tomatoes are probably the sweetest tomato you can ever have, and I'm excited to grow these. Last year, a gardener friend shared with me some striped cherry tomatoes that she grew, and those cherry tomatoes were so sweet. They were stripy with yellows and greens, and they were not super big. They were probably a little bit smaller than a regular cherry tomato, but they were really tasty and they look so cool. So I want to grow them this year. The next type of tomato that I want to grow are anything for sauce, and those are your Roma types. So I have a hybrid here, and it's called Gladiator tomato. I grew this one last year, and the tomatoes were really big, but they didn't produce a ton. And I think I'm going to attribute that to the fact that they were not in a very sunny location. So this year I'm going to give them another chance and grow them in a very sunny spot. The other type of tomato that I grew last year were San Marzano tomatoes. And if you ever had a Neapolitan pizza that is authentic, they should be using San Marzano tomatoes. These are the original Italian tomatoes that should be used in the sauce. And I grew them last year, and sure enough, they are saucy. What makes the tomatoes saucy is that they are not super juicy. They're more meaty. So these definitely stand up to their reputation. They're meaty and they make a mean sauce. I still have a bunch of them frozen in my freezer right now, and I need to turn them into sauce because I need to make more room in my freezer for this year's harvest. And the last type of tomatoes that I want to grow this year are the slicing tomatoes. I love beefsteak tomatoes, and I'm going to be growing those again this year. You can see I save my own seeds, and I save a lot of money by saving my own seeds. The other type of slicing tomato that I want to grow is a green zebra tomato. And I was gifted a plant from a friend last year, and I grew that plant out, and then I saved the seeds. So these are definitely free to grow again. And you cannot grow a garden without growing a regular slicing tomato. And for me, that's going to be an Ace 55. Now, it is not a super tasty tomato, but they are nice tomatoes nonetheless. And the reason I'm growing them is because I bought the seeds last year, and I better use them up, because otherwise what are you going to do? So Ace 55 is going to be my slicing tomato this year. And the last one is kind of a sheet. This is not technically a tomato, it is a tomatillo. Have you ever seen a tomatillo in your life? It is a tomato and it has a husk. I think they are related. They definitely look alike, but they have different tastes. And if you ever go to an authentic taco restaurant and they give you a green salsa, it should have been made with tomatillos. I grew these last year and they were nice and tasty, and I got a ton of tomatillos last year from any tomatillo harvest. And I grew them in a very shady spot on top of my driveway, and they did well. So this year I want to give them a better spot in my front lawn and hopefully get a larger deal. Planting tomatoes is simple. You need a container and some good soil. So today I want to tell you about this little 4-pack cells here. I have been using these for a long time. I got them from a nursery that was local to me at the time. And unfortunately, I don't go to that nursery anymore because it's like an hour away after I moved. But anyways, these are 4-cell containers. If you don't have 4-cell containers, get yourself a single container. This one is about 2 inches by about 3 inches deep. And this is a good starting size. So what you want to do is get yourself some potting soil. But if you are a rebel like me, you can use any soil that you have. But if you want to be successful and you are new, definitely stick to the seed starting mix, because the seed starting mix is a little bit more airy and a little more fluffy, and then you won't kill your plants if you are a newbie. But I am a professional and also a rebel, and I can kill some plants, and I'm experienced at doing this. This is probably my 13th year gardening with tomatoes. I am not super proud of this, but Miracle-Gro does make a good potting soil, and is about the only thing that is available near me that is affordable. So I bought this to do a lot of planting inside my house. So this is the soil I have, so this is what I've been using. So what I have been doing is I have been taking this potting soil, and I take 50% of this, and I take 50% compost that I have made myself in the garden, and I mix it. Then I mix 50% of that garden soil with 50% of my homemade compost, and then I have a starting mix that has nutrients and that is fluffy enough that it won't kill my seedlings. But like I said before, if you are not experienced at growing tomatoes and you're new, just go to Home Depot and get yourself a seed starting mix, because that's so easy. But be ready, because one little bag that is about 15 quarts, I think they call that, it's about 15 bucks, and it's expensive, but it's really good stuff. In this tray, I have a bottom tray that does not have any holes. That way I can come in here later on and water these, and then the water does not go through this tray. But underneath here, this little one comes in a separate tray, so I can lift the whole thing if my under tray is saturated with water, and switch it out with a tray that is not super saturated. That way I don't have any damping off of my seedlings. Damping off is probably the thing that kills the most seedlings in anybody's grow room. Damping off happens when you water your seedlings a bit too much. So err on the side of caution, water your seedlings, and if there is any water left on your tray, make sure you move them from that tray to another tray that is dry, and that way you don't have too much moisture in your soil, which causes the damping off, where the seedlings start to die off because of too much moisture. To plant my tomatoes, I'm going to be making a single hole in the center of each compartment, and then I'm going to put 2 seeds per hole. So check this out. You can see the compartment right here, and this is another compartment right here. So there is 4 little compartments, and these compartments are about 2 inches wide by about 1.5 inches wide here, and the depth is about 2.5 inches deep. So you want a container that is at least this size to get started. Once the plants get a little bit too big for it, like maybe 3 to 4 inches tall, then you can transfer them into a larger pot. But I find that starting them in this size container at this time of year is plenty good to transfer directly from here into the ground. Here are my 4 compartments, 1 and 4. So you want to make a hole that is about 1/4 inch deep and about 1/4 inch wide. And that's very important, because if you forget to water this thing, the seed has been planted deep enough that it will survive the dryness. That's how I ensure that I get good germination. I'm gonna take my San Marzano tomatoes here that I saved my own seed, and I feel very proud of it. So you wanna pour those seeds out. Check this out, man. I have hundreds of seeds in here, but I only need 8 seeds today. So here, I'm gonna take 2 seeds and pop them into the hole. 2 seeds per hole should do the trick. So I'm gonna put you on time lapse because I have a lot to do, and then I'm gonna show you once they're all planted. The Sun Gold tomatoes are really special. There's only 10 seeds inside of here, so I am only gonna start 1 seed per cell. And I counted the seeds in that packet, and there is exactly 10. So they really mean it when they say they give you 10 seeds. Here goes 1 seed of the Sun Gold and the very last seed of the Sun Gold. That was actually pretty simple, and it didn't take all that long to do all that sowing. And I decided to start a few other pots here on the side. So here are all of them, and I think I have the Ace 55 in here. I got a little confused, so if the Ace 55 are not Ace 55 this year, I got the seed packets mixed up because I was just thinking about the process too much. But here are the other tomatoes. I did the tomatillos in the single cell ones. I put 2 to 3 seeds per container, and then at the very end I started some cucamelons, which are little cucumbers that my wife really wants. So we want to make sure we start those soon enough to test the seeds and the viability, and hopefully they will sprout in a few days and I can put those out after the last frost. After sowing my tomatoes, I'm putting them in my grow room setup on top of my heat mat, and hopefully they will sprout in a few days. The Glacier tomatoes that I started a few days ago, they have already sprouted, and I saw the eggplants have sprouted too, but none of the peppers have sprouted. I planted those peppers on the 3rd of March, so it has been about 6 days since I planted them, and they have not sprouted yet. So hopefully in the next 2 days they'll sprout, and I'll give you an update. So make sure that you are subscribed and that you are hitting that bell notification button so that you can get notified whenever I post a new video. I am so excited because the gardening season is gearing up and it's heating up. And very soon we're going to be planting those tomatoes and peppers outdoors, and we'll be growing more tomatoes than we know what to do with. As always, thank you for watching my videos. Thank you to all those subscribers who are commenting down below. I love interacting with you, and those comments encourage me to keep making these videos. Making these videos is kind of hard actually. You have to record the process and you got to explain your process, and you put them out there and you hope that people want to watch them. So thank you to those subscribers who are encouraging me and are supporting me. I appreciate you a lot. That is it for today, and I really appreciate you stopping by and watching my video. I know there's a lot of options out there. I'll see you on the next one.